Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of No Buts About It. I am in my house in Northeast Indiana, where it is a chilly August day. I think we actually set a record low for coldest day in August since like 1950. It was like 44 degrees this morning. Chus is in his basement in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We have a great episode planned for you. We're going to talk about the upcoming preseason finale, what we're looking for our teams, and a few other NFL news stories up next. Alrighty, so first of all, Chustifer, you had a player who you were excited to watch play, and he played the Colts, and he looked pretty good. I got to be honest, I didn't see his his second preseason game, but Bo Nix,
Yeah, Bo Nix,
rookie
baby.
quarterback out of Oregon, has now been named the Week 1 starter by Broncos head coach Sean Payton. He's got a lot on his shoulders. He's got to prove he is a round one pick, or worth a round one pick. But Sean Payton seems to think so, thinks he's ready. And Chus, I don't know if you know this, but do you know who the last rookie quarterback to start for the Denver Broncos Week 1 was?
Last rookie?
Yes, the last time a rookie quarterback started Week 1 for the Denver Broncos.
Oh, I'm thinking of one guy that I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I don't even know if he'd be right though. Shoot. I want to I don't want to look up his name because I don't remember what his name was, but I just remember like saying he looked like Peyton Manning, but I don't remember. I don't think that was who it was. How long ago was it? Was it recent or was it like before? Like, was it after Peyton Manning or before Peyton Manning?
It was before Peyton Manning.
Then I got no clue. I was thinking somebody else. So
John Elway.
Oh, wow.
The last time a rookie quarterback started Week 1 for the Denver Broncos was Hall of Famer John Elway. So it's been a while since the Broncos have done this, and Bo Nix is hoping that he will continue John Elway's legacy. He's in good company. We'll see what happens.
So initially, basically who I was thinking of was Trevor Siemian, but he wasn't. But he was appears a round 7 pick.
And I don't think he started Week 1.
I don't know if he did or not, but that's who I was thinking. I was thinking it was Trevor Siemian. Actually, no, he wouldn't have. He didn't start because 2015 he was drafted. That was Peyton Manning's year. So Trevor Siemian was a year 1. So that's who I was thinking of, was Trevor Siemian. But I couldn't think of him. But I just remember always like the way that his helmet fit on his head and the way that he looked from certain angles made him kind of look like Peyton Manning. And as a 14-year-old kid, me and my friends used to clown on the idea that Denver thought that they were getting a second Peyton Manning, but Trevor Siemian never really panned out to be the next Peyton Manning as we know today.
No, Trevor Siemian has had a rough career at best. He was the Bengals potential starting or backup quarterback.
Well, starter. That's a bold pick.
Well, if he would have beat out Jake Browning last season, he would have been the starter.
But in a way, aren't you kind of glad that didn't happen? Because Jake Browning, I feel like, is a lot better of a backup than Siemian would have been.
Yeah, well, I have Jake Browning's autograph in my collection, and I don't have Trevor Siemian's. So that's all I'll say about that. For those youngins out there who, for whatever reason, may not know who Trevor Siemian is, I'm loading up a photo of him here for you. This is who Chus thinks looks like Peyton Manning.
Okay, well, I'm not saying that picture exactly, but there's like pictures where like he has his helmet on and the way that his forehead looks and the way that his face is in his helmet made him kind of look like Peyton Manning. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you don't got to throw a comparison up there, but a lot of people, I remember social media was kind of buzzing about that. It wasn't like this huge headline or anything like that, but I just remember people were talking about it. My friends were talking about it. I was a freshman, I believe, going into the 2016 season. Yeah, fall 2016, I would have been a freshman. So in high school. But yeah, I just remember all of us talking about it. So
Well, I am interested to see how Bo Nix does. I haven't watched him enough to come up with a guess yet. They play the Seattle Seahawks week 1, so
Should be
not not an easy team, not a hard team. I feel like they're pretty middle of the road. Good place to start. So Bo Nix is the Broncos week 1 starter, and then we have also found out that I say that like he called me and told me, but Gardner Minshew will be starting
Oh yeah,
week 1
this is also great
for
news.
the Las Vegas Raiders. So another guy Chus really likes has beaten out Aiden O'Connell for the right to throw the ball to Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Try to keep him in Las Vegas, because there's some rumors that if Las Vegas starts out cold, then Devontae may request a trade. We'll see what happens.
Look, I mean, I think in this situation, nothing against Aiden O'Connell. I think he's not bad, but I think in this situation, you do want to run with Gardner Minshew. I know some people have skepticism when it comes to Minshew, but I mean, I think he kind of had a bad rap over the last couple of years. Obviously, he was in Jacksonville and he didn't have too hot of years, but also I think Jacksonville was kind of in a rebuilding state in 2019 in those years before Trevor Lawrence came in and before they got the first overall pick. And obviously when he went in as the backup behind Jalen Hurts and he had lost a couple games that were key, I guess, for the Eagles in some games, and he lost those. I feel like in some of those games he really did well. I mean, I think there was one game I can't think off the top of my head. I'm not a huge Eagles fan. I can't recite every single Eagles game for you, but I do know that he underperformed, and then there was one where he overperformed and still lost. It might have been against the Cowboys or something, but everyone talked about how bad Minshew was. And then last year, Minshew was literally one play away from most likely going on to the playoffs last year with the Colts without Anthony Richardson. And I think the Raiders are in a pretty decent spot. I don't know if they're on the same level as the Colts, but they might be on a level where they're kind of pushing their way up to being on the level of like the Colts, where they're not like some crazy team, but you still got like Max Crosby and a lot of really good players on the Raiders over there. So, I mean, they could be another team that, Minshew, he has the weapons. I mean, you still have, like you said, Adams, at least for the couple of weeks, hopefully, as long as the Raiders stay kind of warm, I guess. I don't want to say hot because I don't know how hot the Raiders are going to be. I mean, they're obviously going to be in a little bit of still a tougher division, but yeah, so we'll wait and see. But I think this is a good move by the Raiders. I think some people will disagree, but I'm pretty high on Minshew. I think he'll do pretty well.
Chus is buying into the Minshew mania.
Yeah, I always do.
You always do. This next one is just something we'll be following here. If we get updates during the show, I'll let you know. But Penei Sewell, all-star offensive lineman for the Detroit Lions, did leave practice today with a foot injury. So hope he's okay, because that would be a big loss. Whoa.
Yeah, I haven't seen that since Riverside. That's crazy.
That would be a big loss for the Detroit Lions offensive line. And for the people who aren't watching the video, I accidentally clicked the full screen double box, which is really big compared to the normal one we use that is just a lot smaller. But anyway, yeah, I'll keep an eye on that Penei Sewell story if we get any updates.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay for week 1. I mean, they're definitely Lions they're running that 2 running back system again with Montgomery and Gibbs, so you definitely need your line, your big line guy back there.
And I like Jared Goff, but he's definitely a quarterback who, once he kind of gets sacked once, he kind of starts to fall apart mentally, I think. So having that strong offensive line in front of him is important. So yeah,
I agree.
Let's this next thing I have planned for Chus. And I don't know if Chus has seen this yet. I haven't mentioned it to Chus that I remember. This came out last week. We have talked about this guy on the show before in various capacities.
I don't know what this is. He didn't tell me what this is, so I'm kind of curious on what this is.
I'm just going to play the clip. We're going to let it play. We're not going to talk. And I just want to get Chus's reaction.
Okay.
try to define you, but you are the ingredient to your own success. Luscious, eggy, smell like greatness. Will Levis, number 8, Parfum de Mayonnaise.
God. Oh my gosh, that is so bad. It made me want to say words that I don't want to say.
The reason I wanted to show it to you is because I know like college is coming back up, and you may want to.
I'm not putting on mayo.
You may want
cologne.
to change up your scent a little bit for the ladies, and this is a great opportunity. It's $8 a bottle, so I mean,
oh wow,
low risk, high reward.
Is this like a real thing? This isn't like a troll?
No, it's $8 per bottle. It features scents of lemon, vanilla, musk, coffee, and mayonnaise. So, I mean, Chus, I'm just saying, maybe opportunity's knocking.
Look, man, I like mayo, but I don't know if I like it that much. I put it on my Jersey Mike sandwiches, and I think that's pretty much where I draw the line. I don't know if I put it really on anything else, especially my body, the scent of mayo. I think musk and some of those other ones kind of smell better than mayo. I know somebody's gonna buy it. I mean, it's inevitable if it.
Oh, it's sold out within minutes.
Oh, that is.
Everyone's wearing this now. This is the scent of 2024.
No, don't tell me that. I'm hoping this is cologne, right? Obviously, this is cologne, not perfume. Okay, thank goodness.
It's Parfum de Mayonnaise.
Yeah, Parfum de Mayonnaise. Oh, yeah. And I like how they got Will Levis for it, too, and he's eating bread, just white bread with just a giant slab of mayo. That is unreal. I did not see it. I have not seen it. I don't know where you saw it. I don't know if it was, on Twitter or something, but that was tough to watch, honestly. I mean,
I thought it was a beautifully done commercial, personally.
Good deal for Will Levis. I'm sure he got paid thousands to do that, and that was probably just a goofy promotional thing.
When he comes running out of the smoke shirtless with that mayo, I'm like, dang, this guy.
Well, I thought it was something else. I was like, oh, Will Levis in a commercial. I was like, this is interesting. I was like, where is this going? And then I saw him like just sucking face with the bread and with mayo on it, and I was like, okay, well, this is not where I thought it was going. I thought there was going to be some epic video and just super awesome of Will Levis, and then it turned into mayo. And I mean, I guess it's still awesome for what it is, but I don't want to watch it again, let alone wear the cologne. That's just me, though. I might wear the other scents, but I don't know. I'm not. $8. I mean, I guess that's not bad. If they were charging $50, that would have been crazy. Like, it's like some like actually extravagant cologne,
resale value is $50 because people have realized how good it is, and they're like,
"Oh, really? You should buy some, Josh. You should buy some."
I might, I might have to.
You got to let me know how it is.
I mean, have you seen Will Levis?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
this cologne makes you Will Levis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's actually the reason Will won the starting job over Mason Rudolph in Tennessee. Just this cologne.
Just that cologne.
Yeah, Brian Callahan was like, "You smell really good."
And it had nothing to do with the fact that like they're already kind of banking on Will Levis. They weren't gonna. No. Okay.
Let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I have nothing to say to that anymore. Let's move on.
Okay, so the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm concerned. I have some worries. First of all, our defensive end depth is questionable. So Sam Hubbard, he's coming off of a surgery in the offseason. I think he'll be all right. Trey Hendrickson's been taking some veteran practice days. We got those two guys. Good there. After that, it's a wash. We don't know. Miles Murphy went down with an injury yesterday. He's expected to miss some games, not the whole season. Got lucky there. We are currently banking our entire defensive end depth on this man right here, Joseph Asai, who he has shown flashes of potential to be good. He's also shown flashes to do nothing at all in games. He probably on the national stage, what he's most known for is he was the player who allegedly pushed not Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes out of bounds too late and set up the Chiefs to win that AFC Championship game. So that's that guy. I think he has potential. I think he has talent as a depth piece, but I was really feeling Miles Murphy a lot more than I was Joseph Asai, former first-round pick. Expected him to kind of come in, do some deep stuff, do some great stuff, and now he's going to miss the first few games. Then we've got another guy who looks promising. We have a ton of promise. We just have a bunch of unknowns. Cedric Johnson out of Ole Miss, rookie this year, drafted late, has pretty much been locked into the 53-man roster simply because of injuries and Jeff Gunter retiring randomly. So I'm worried. I've got some concerns about the Cincinnati Bengals pass rush. I don't know, Chus. What do you think about the Cincinnati Bengals pass rush? Those guys that they got out there.
I mean, I think you guys are fine. I think you guys are good. I mean, I don't know what else I don't follow Bengals like you do, similar how you don't follow Steelers. But I think they're not bad. I mean, I think that you guys, looking at your guys' schedule, you guys should do very well. If you don't, I'll be very disappointed in the team and have a lot to say come end of the season. But your pass rush isn't bad. I really think that, obviously the team isn't the same team that it was 2 or 3 years ago. And I think that it continues to move depending on what you're doing. Obviously, I don't know how long ago it was now, but I know probably 2 seasons ago, you lost Jesse Bates and that was a huge loss. And, you guys lose players and you gain players. And that's just kind of how, the Bengals have gone with their defense, and he's your safety, but it's just with your secondary and whatnot. Nothing to worry about. I wouldn't say. Don't be worried. Who do you play week 1? The Patriots? Oh, come on. You're telling me that. Okay, you know what? I shouldn't say anything. Joe Burrow usually struggles the first 2 weeks, and then for some reason, week 3 to 18, he decides to actually kick it into gear. And that's nothing against Joe Burrow. It's just how I've seen it over the last couple of years. He'll just be like really mid for the first 2 or 3 weeks, and everyone will be like, "Oh, Joe Burrow stinks." And then from like week 3 or week 4 on, he'll just be this like top 10 quarterback ever. That's just how I've seen it.
I'm not worried about the Patriots game week 1 because they lost Matt Judon. I don't really think their offense is going to be able to put up points anyway.
No. I'm worried about Juju. They lost Juju. It's over now. The fact that they don't have Juju, I think it might just give you guys the win.
They didn't lose Juju. They cut Juju.
Yeah, exactly. They decided to cut him. I think that's a terrible mistake.
Week 2, though, is against the Kansas City Chiefs. That game is concerning if you don't have a pass rush. However, there is a guy who I've been following, and I've talked about him with you before, out of Wisconsin, the undrafted free agent rookie. Well, he's not a free agent right now, but undrafted player, Muma Jungmeta. And he had a rough second preseason game. He allowed some catches on him. But I noticed something, and this is something that I noticed the first time, but I really kind of locked in on this fact against the Bears. He has great downhill speed, and he is great at blowing up the offensive line and reading the gaps. So he might be someone who you can bring in to kind of just be that rushing linebacker. I don't think he'll be a good coverage linebacker because his long-term speed isn't great. If a guy gets past him, they're pretty much gone. But I could see him reading the gaps, blowing up the offensive line, and making getting some quarterback rushes, maybe even some linebacker sacks to make us feel a little better. But Muma Jungmeta, I'm rooting for him. I already said on Twitter, I said, Cincinnati Bengals, if you sign Muma Jungmeta to the 53-man roster, I will buy his jersey. I might be the only one besides like his family who owns a Muma Jungmeta jersey, but let's go. Number 45.
Hey, be a big supporter. I like that.
I'm rooting for him. Big fan of him. He's exciting to watch. He's fun to watch, and he's got an interesting story. So just gonna keep following along with him. Hope he has a good game against the Indianapolis Colts. You're like, this game's great for me.
I was gonna say, wouldn't you? That's got to be an enjoyable game for you on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And I got a fantasy draft during it. Dude, it's gonna be all football all day. I got a fantasy draft. Colts and Bengals playing each other. It's great.
That's tomorrow. Well, today is Wednesday, August 21st. So what? The game is tomorrow then for you with your draft and everything. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, we got a draft on Sunday evening. So we've got our draft as well. I'm in. Yeah, I don't know if you saw any of the realignments or anything, but you, Connor, Connor's brother's roommate, and somebody else are in a division together. So that's
shout out Connor's brother's roommate.
Yeah, Shane. Shout out Shane. And shout out Connor. And then whoever the fourth guy is it's not Nate. I don't remember who it is. But yeah, shout out to the Bloodline Conference. So hey, it's all wrestling. I'm the final boss. You're gonna have to deal with the final boss. That's my team name this year.
You might not be able to see me rolling my eyes.
Okay, well, listen, I won the championship last year. I got to kind of gloat a little bit. Okay, I got to at least be some sort of, I went in, I was 6-7. I beat the undefeated Octavius Rex Meep last year, which was unbelievable. And, I just wanted to toot my own horn. And I beat you. And then I beat Logan in the championship. So I'm very pleased with how my season went from 6th and 7th, 8th place to the win. So of course I'm going to say I'm the final boss. I mean, that league is hard. And just so you guys know, it's a 15 team league. It is not, for anybody that knows fantasy, once you go past 12 teams, it gets very difficult because I was in a 14 and a 15 last year and it was hard. And I'm sure Josh could say the same. 15 is not as easy as 12.
Kyron Williams could not save me last year.
No, but George Pickens did save me.
Which is
crazy considering he did nothing until Mason Rudolph came in. So, and now I haven't even drafted yet, so we won't know. But yeah, it was going to be on Friday though, our draft, but because I will be doing some photography on Friday for high school. High school football starts this week 0, Friday Night Lights. So super excited. And speaking of, I know we're kind of a little off topic right now, but speaking earlier in the show, I know you said it's really cold over in Fort Wayne. I want to say that it has been pretty chilly here over in Pittsburgh as well. It's been in the low 70s and it's actually felt really nice. And it's actually getting there was a day on Monday. It was Monday. It was cloudy. It was gray. It was really chilly. It was windy. I was walking around with a long sleeve t-shirt on and it really just got me the butterflies and the excitement for football and just sports and college football. Cause Pat McAfee on Monday also was his last Monday Night Raw, because he's going to start game day on Saturday in Dublin. So it's very exciting. I was very excited for the weather. And although it's going to get warmer again this weekend and into next week, it's still really nice to have that little teaser going into next 2 weeks or whatever. So, but yeah, shout out to the cold weather as well.
We're kind of in that part of the year where it's like 80 during the day and then like 40 at night in the Midwest. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of nice, but yeah, I'm excited. We've got some Friday Night Lights this week too here in Indiana. First 2 weeks in this area, the games are kind of iffy. They don't have conference games. They're like, we're playing a lot of Indianapolis teams here in Fort Wayne. So
yeah, well, this week 0 for us is not. There's some good games. But I think it's weird because I think, the next couple of weeks is when things start picking up. Week 0 was not on my radar as a week that I couldn't decide on what game I was going to. I decided pretty quickly. Next week and the next couple of weeks are going to be impossible considering there's a lot of recruits and a lot of D1 commits and talents and stuff and some really good teams coming in over the next couple of weeks. The WPIAL, WPIAL is always a conference that you want to watch out for, I'm sure. Same with Fort Wayne area. I don't know what you guys call your conference.
We got the Summit Athletic Conference. Those are where the big dogs go. You got
we're just WPIAL
Jesse Bates's old high school. They're playing an Indianapolis school Friday, so we'll see how they do. They're a pretty good team. I'm excited to see them. And then my alma mater, the alma mater of Drew Tranquil. Hoping we have a good season. I'm trusting in Jimmy Sullivan, who has verbally committed to Iowa. So got some talent. He's got an arm. But let's start talking about
high school sports. Is fun to talk about, though.
The NFL.
Fun. Yeah, let's go. Yeah. Hey, football's football. This is a football podcast for the average fan, and we're going to be talking about NFL, but sometimes we might want to veer off and talk about high school here and there.
Facts. So if you're listening and you're looking for a quality high school football program, maybe look at the Whipple or the SAC in Fort Wayne, the Summit Athletic Conference. So anyway, Indianapolis Colts. That's who the Bengals are playing this week.
Yep.
And I watched the Indianapolis Colts. And again, Craig Young did not have a good game. I don't know what it was this week. Both of my undrafted linebacker prospects did not do good. I was rooting for them. It was rough. It was rough out there. And then Anthony Gould is someone else who I've been hyping up for the Colts. I was like, this guy, he's gonna do great things for the Indianapolis Colts. He's gonna be a great backup for Josh Downs. Great punt return. He early on in the game, he gets the ball thrown to him by Sam Ellinger. I'm like, oh yeah, he's wide open. You know what this guy did? He fumbled.
What did he do?
He fumbled. He got hit. He got hit and he fumbled. And that was his only play of the game. And I was like, dude, you're making me look bad. I'm trying. I'm trying with these youngins.
Hey, I mean, it's preseason. They got to get their feet
It's unacceptable.
Wet. Okay. Well, give him a chance, man.
I did. Then he fumbled.
Okay, well, it's one fumble.
Oh.
Did you not like Jeremy Hill when he fumbled that one time? Or any of the times?
See, the fact is, you said that one time, and I know exactly what one time you're talking about.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, we could say the same thing for literally any team, any player. You could be like, oh, you remember that one time that Najee Harris fumbled, and and going back and forth.
But I'm just saying. If I say you remember that one time Najee Harris fumbled, you don't know. We aren't necessarily talking about the same play. The Jeremy Hill fumble, I know exactly what play you're talking about. I know awesome. Exactly where he was on the field, and I know what happened right after he fumbled. So
listen, that game is the last, and we're going on 10 years almost. It's been kind of crazy that the Steelers haven't really done anything since that game. So I mean, it's just kind of unfortunate, really. But
yeah, but that game was heartbreaking, man.
Well, on my end, it was fine. Well, no, it wasn't fine. It was ridiculous. That game was terrible. I did not enjoy that. Yes, we won, but it was a bad game. I mean, it was a bad game. We got bailed out, but it was just a tough situation. But that's the thing. Did you guys hate Jeremy Hill for the rest of your lives after that? I mean, I guess maybe technically you may have, because at that point it would have been one of your first playoff appearances in a while. So you guys might have been a little mad. So I don't know how Cincinnati took that loss.
Well, I want to double check this before I say it, but I think I'm right. So that was okay. Yeah, he wasn't on the team much longer after that game. That's all I'll say about that. I mean, I liked Jeremy Hill. He was all right, but Joe Mixon was better. And now we're hoping Chase Brown is something.
Well, don't you guys have Zach Moss too?
Yeah, but Zach Moss I'm seeing more as a pass blocker running back. I think he can make some plays, but I think Chase Brown's the future.
Yeah, I was just curious because, I mean, he's fantasy. A lot of people are drafting him in fantasy and stuff.
Well, go ahead and draft him in fantasy.
I drafted him in fantasy. I already did, actually. That's why I was asking about him. I mean, he doesn't start in my one league. I've got a couple other guys starting, but I mean, just to give you a number on it, Zach Moss is rostered in 80% of leagues. Okay, it's pretty big.
Well, some other Colts. I'm sorry, Colts fans. I'm trying here. We keep getting distracted.
Well, we were talking about the Bengals.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Then we were talking about the Colts. This is a Colts player, Anthony Gould.
Yeah.
And then you started talking about fumbles, and then you started talking about Jeremy Hill, and you got me distracted.
because that's what I mean. Like, would you But same thing. You got mad, but like
you can't fumble.
the fumbles happen. The
It's
fumbles
unacceptable.
happen. So I was just trying to give a comparison because, like, yeah, fumbles happen. Man. You can't get this guy can't give this guy a bad rap.
I can when he's fighting for a roster spot. I'm trying to hype him up and get him. I'm trying to get him on the 53-man roster. He's making me look bad.
Okay. All right. Continue on.
There may be an Indianapolis Colts scout who's watching the show, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's pretty good." And then all of a sudden, he goes out there and fumbles. Unacceptable. Another guy who Colts fans probably want to keep an eye on. I don't know how big of a guy he will necessarily be, but Jason Bean is currently fighting for the quarterback 3 position behind Joe Flacco and Anthony Richardson. He's fighting with Sam Ehlinger. However, the thing that's interesting about him is he also has a history of being a wide receiver. He has had some good games with the Indianapolis Colts. However, Sam Ehlinger has looked better for the most part. However, I could see them keeping Jason Bean potentially just because of that versatility. Keep him in a Malik Cunningham type role like the New England Patriots did with Malik Cunningham for a season. Just something to keep an eye on. If they roster 4 quarterbacks, I wouldn't necessarily be shocked, but then use Jason Bean kind of as a more versatile player. They also have a ton of great wide receivers.
That would actually be kind of good. He could kind of run like a Taysom Hill type offense, kind of like with the Saints and stuff like that. Not necessarily use him as like a full-time quarterback, but use him for those trick plays, which might actually kind of be cool for Indianapolis. I mean, with all the stuff you can do. Anthony Richardson's already he's known for he runs, right? He's a scrambler. Yeah, he's pretty fast. So I just don't know. I haven't seen this guy play since the first 2 weeks of last year. A lot has happened since 2 weeks, week 1 and 2 of last year. But yeah, I mean, I think that would be cool. It is curious though. I am curious though, just because with Ehlinger, obviously he's been on the team longer and he has that tenure. It almost makes it seem like he would automatically get that QB3 spot, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, they could just keep him on just to have him. They do have a ton of good wide receivers though that have Quan Treadwell, I think is his name, former first-round pick in 2016. He's been looking good in the preseason. He could be a depth piece that they add to the 53-man roster. There's been some other guys. That wide receiver room is deep in Indianapolis. But I do think Jason Bean offers a versatility. Plus, even in practice, let's say you don't want Anthony Richardson going out against the defense, but you want to get the defense ready against a mobile quarterback. Jason Bean would offer that ability to kind of practice against guys like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, guys who will take off running, that Joe Flacco and Sam Ehlinger aren't going to be able to do. So we will see what happens with Jason Bean, just another guy to keep an eye on. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Nick Cross, who has been hated on for probably the last 2 years by Indianapolis Colts fans, has actually looked really good in the preseason. So they may finally have someone to go line up opposite of Julian Blackmon. That's someone the Indianapolis Colts should be excited about. He is a veteran on the team. He's had a regular season starting snaps before, so not someone Colts fans should be unfamiliar with. I just kind of wanted to highlight him and be like, hey, this guy's actually looking pretty good. And then Trey Benson for the Cardinals. He looked great against the Indianapolis Colts. And I have not been nice to this rookie class. So this rookie running back class. So I just wanted to shout out Trey Benson, Florida State alumni, and just say, good on you. You looked good against the Indianapolis Colts. And with James Conner kind of getting older for that running back shelf life, might be good to have Trey Benson out there. He could maybe be a sneaky grab in fantasy at some point for those who are in the deeper leagues.
Like
and,
us.
The Arizona Cardinals should be very happy, I think, with that grab. But what are you? We kind of talked about the Bengals. And I'm just I want to make sure we actually talk about what we're looking forward to for these upcoming games. And I'm really still just looking at Muma. I'm looking at the Colts defensive line. I'm looking at those wide receivers like I said. And that Bengals and Colts game is going to be nice because I can just watch them all at the same time. That's going to be great.
Yeah, and you can get them both out. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Right. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh boy.
So your boy. Okay, so first of all, what the heck happened? You were at the game.
I was working at the game. Yes, I was there. I witnessed what I could, and I don't really know what I witnessed per se. I mean, Chris Boswell did miss a field goal, which wouldn't have changed anything because it would have been 9-6 final. But still, the point of the matter is that I was still very disappointed. And the things that I was looking for that I kind of mentioned last week with like trying to see how the line developed and all of those things really just blew up right in my face because the line just did not look good. Broderick Jones had been hyping him up. He did not look like that talent that we wanted. And I don't think that he's necessarily not that talent that we want, but I definitely think that he looks like he's struggling. Now, could he be hurt? Could he be playing through an injury that nobody's kind of disclosed, like nobody's talking about? Maybe. He's not looking like the same type of player that he was even last year. And with all of these players, obviously some of these guys are rookies and some of them are young, but the problem is they're obviously probably not necessarily going to be day one ready, but it's still kind of a struggle when this line is trying to form. And every year we're talking from, the Steelers fan base, we say every single year, we're going to get better. This year, like we're going to be a top 10 line. And then we always seem to just fall really short of it. And not that it's going to happen, but it's really frustrating when some of these players just aren't meshing and not working. And obviously Russell Wilson is known to be getting sacked a lot. He's probably, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know for a fact he's one of those quarterbacks that's known to get sacked a lot. And it's going to happen. So I'm not expecting this line to just hold for 20 seconds, but I think that there's got to be some sort of fine line here where these players need to really come together and actually do anything. And honestly, I think to an extent, I think you're gonna have to start blaming for these O-line troubles Pat Meyer, the offensive line coach. I think it kind of comes down to the coaching and whatnot, because at a point you can't start blaming. Obviously you kind of have to be frustrated with these players. Like Broderick Jones did not play well. Yes, I'm frustrated with how you played, but also you kind of have to see like what Pat Meyer is doing and how he's developing these players. I don't think he's genuinely developing these players to their fullest extent. At least I haven't seen it yet. And it's kind of concerning going into the next couple of weeks, because obviously this is our last week of preseason, which is exciting because you kind of get to see how all the players mesh together, whether it's, your starters, your second string guys going into your third string guys, and seeing how everybody meshes together against these different players. But I think what's most concerning is that obviously you have these guys that aren't looking like they're ready to play. And obviously the elephant in the room with Herbig now being hurt as well is also a huge, huge loss, because now most likely one of the rookie guys are going to have to go in. I think people are talking about, Frazier going in, which I think he could be ready, but it's one of those things where from what I've seen, I don't know if the line necessarily is ready as a whole, which is concerning, considering the teams that we're going up against this year are not going to be easy. We definitely have a very difficult schedule, and you're going to need a good line against some of these pass rushes, and it's kind of concerning. And like I said, I know Russell Wilson is known to get sacked a lot, but I want also some sort of confidence there too, especially if Russell Wilson gets hurt or he gets pulled. Justin Fields has been a scrambler all of his life in Chicago, and it would be really nice to just kind of, although he's going to be a scrambler here too, it'd be kind of nice to have the line so that he can feel a little bit more comfortable in the pocket instead of always having to scramble, because it always seemed like he was having to scramble. So yeah, I'm just very much disappointed in how the team looked. There was just no offense, and I feel like there could have been a lot more factors with it, but I really think it starts with the O-line. And I'm sure there's going to be some Steeler fans that may disagree with me on that, but I really think it's Pat Meyer and the O-line to start.
So on that same note, let's take a look at this guy here, Zach Frazier, rookie center. Now that Herbig's gone down, he is, as you mentioned, very likely going to be the starting center for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. Do you have concern? First of all, he's a West Virginia alum, so I don't know how I feel about that. But also, Do you have concerns about a rookie center kind of making the calls with a fairly young O-line and then two new quarterbacks? Do you think that's going to impact the chemistry of the offensive line and could lead to some pre-snap issues? I mean, we already saw that with Justin Fields earlier in the preseason. There was
Yeah.
some fumbled snaps, and you don't want that in a regular season game.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think there kind of is a little bit of that concern. Not that I don't think Frazier can do it. I just think that obviously I think it's obviously some extent, a lot of like Frazier and a lot of those guys, are not, some of them aren't expecting to start right away. And Frazier was not one of those guys that was expecting to start. Herbig was going to start. So I think by him being like, Pat Meyer and the coaches being like, all right, well, you're next up now. And I think it also gives him that butterflies and stuff because obviously he is a rookie and he's now going to have to lead this offensive line with a brand new quarterback, a brand new offensive coordinator. And there's just a lot of struggles and a lot of different issues that could arise. And I am a little concerned. I think that he can handle it, but I think it might be a little bit of a struggle over the first couple of weeks just for him to get his feet wet. I mean, this is the NFL now. You're moving on from West Virginia. Not that, I think West Virginia is going to be a lot better this year from the college standpoint. And I think he played for a relatively decent team last year. But I think that going into this year, I mean, it's like I said, it's the NFL. You really have to adapt to the heavy hitters and who you're going up against. And it might be difficult. It might really be difficult. And it's concerning. I mean, looking ahead at our Steelers schedule, I mean, I'm just going to kind of pull it up because I don't know it off the top of my head. But I mean, we have to go against the Falcons week 1. And I mean, I think we could probably win that, hopefully. But I mean, then you start getting into some like tougher games as the stretches go down. So hopefully, if this O-line can hold itself, that maybe Frazier will be ready for some of those heavy hitter games like the Cowboys and some of those games closer to week 7 and 8 and further on. But it's still a little concerning, definitely concerning.
But that Falcons team could be sneaky good too.
That's what I mean. That's why I said maybe. I think we could win that game because it's one of those things. They got Kirk. They got some guys down there.
But I mean, even on just looking at the defense, they just brought in Matt Judon, who he can upset games. They have Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates now.
A crazy safety core.
Yeah, that defense. AJ Terrell at cornerback, Troy Anderson's decent at linebacker. The defense alone can create some problems. And if you're concerned about that offensive line, Matt Judon may just be blitzing the entire time as a pass rusher.
And it might be tough, especially, I mean, it's not easy for us, obviously, for our first 2 weeks to not be in Pittsburgh either, considering we have 2 very new quarterbacks and a very new offense. So it's going to be kind of a struggle. Obviously, I mean, you're going week 1 against Atlanta. Hopefully, like I said, maybe it'll go a little bit better. But then you go up against the Broncos. We really don't know how that's going to be with Bo Nix. I mean, and obviously I know Pittsburgh isn't that strong of a team in Denver. Sometimes we always seem to kind of struggle. Maybe Russell Wilson will be a little bit different considering that's his old team. But it's still one of those things where it still brings concerns because sometimes it's out of the quarterback's hands and it does land in the laps of your offensive line or whoever it ends up being. I'm not worried about the defense at all. I think the defense is still looking pretty good. I mean, obviously I know we were talking about it or you were talking about it just, 15 minutes ago or whatever. There was a guy that just randomly retired for you who.
Yeah. Jeff Gunter. He wasn't a big name. He was a late round draft pick 2 years ago, I think. But I mean, he just kind of was like, I'm not loving football anymore. I'm retiring. And we're just like,
okay, so we have a similar situation that happened in Pittsburgh too. So there was a linebacker that we had just signed an extension with named Marcus Golden, who he just randomly after the extension randomly up and retired and was like, I was with my son and we were doing whatever, and I just realized that I felt more retired than ready to come back, and then he just retired. And although, like you said, it's not a huge name, it still was depth for our linebacker core, and it's still kind of one of those losses where you're like, now we have to find some sort of replacement there. But it was just one of those things where it's just randomly something like that happens. But like I said, from an outside perspective, I still think our defense is still probably, if not top 10, or I mean, if not top 5, top 10 at least. Like I still think our defense is still a top core. It's just what the offense can do, and it's still a little concerning. That's all.
So we're expecting, based on him saying he's going to play, to see this guy this weekend. What are you expect? We've mainly seen Justin Fields, and Justin Fields has been almost controversial, which is a consistent thing with Pittsburgh Steelers quarterbacks. I don't know if you saw, he had a deep throw to the end zone that ended up going over the receiver's head, and people were arguing about it online on Twitter because they were saying, was it Justin Fields' fault? Was it the receiver's fault? And Chris Carter got involved and was like, it was the receiver's fault. And then people were telling Chris Carter he didn't know what he was talking about. So not a great move. But anyway, Russell Wilson, we haven't seen him yet in a Steelers uniform. What do you want to see from him? What are you hoping this preseason game shows you? And do you think that he should definitely be the week 1 starter?
I think, well, for one, hold on a second. I just wanted to look at something real quick. Russell Wilson, I'm pretty sure played last week for a little bit.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
I might have missed it.
I think he did play for a little bit. Yeah, it looks like he has, because I thought I remember him playing a little. I don't remember what he did exactly, but I'm trying to see if I can pull up these preseason numbers, but they keep coming up with these season numbers. So Russell Wilson. So while you do that, or while I do this, just stay tight here. Preseason stats. I think he only had, so far he was 8 for 10 and 47 yards. So what do I want to see from Russell Wilson going into this week? A slightly better performance is what because I kind of remember, I thought it was him, but I thought he had like a really good pass to George Pickens, and it was called incomplete because George Pickens stepped out of bounds. Now that could have been Fields. Remember, I'm not entirely like watching the game. I'm also, like I said, working. So I'm watching the screen as much as I can in between plays. I mean, obviously during the game, I'm not as busy as I am whenever it's halftime or before the game, but I watch as much as I can. And I'm pretty sure it was Russell Wilson that had the play. But I think what I'm looking for Russell Wilson is just to show signs that it's kind of nice to have a little bit of like some sort of light on at the end of the tunnel when it comes to the offense, because last year that offense was very stagnant and it was kind of a little concerning at times. Obviously, I mean, a lot of Steelers fans were very upset throughout the last 2 or 3 seasons, as you should be, as we should be. And I think seeing Russell Wilson and maybe throwing some deep bombs and just kind of like how Fields did, even though he overthrew the receiver and whatnot. I don't know. I thought Fields didn't look too bad either. I thought he looked good, or at least better. I mean, I think for Russell Wilson, since he is going to be the week 1 starter, I just want him to show me that he meshes well with everybody. He meshes well with the line. He's meshing well with the receivers. He's meshing well with the running backs, whoever he's playing with. And to show me, maybe instead of playing 1 quarter of football or only a couple of plays, maybe play a whole half and then just prove to me. Because obviously right now we know the quarterback 3 isn't going to play. Like, we know that it's going to be Fields or Wilson. It's most likely going to be Wilson. Wilson's pretty much already been promised that quarterback 1 spot. So I just kind of want to see how he compares to Fields in halves. Maybe have, Russell Wilson start, have him play quarter 1 and 2, see how he does, regardless of who he's playing with. Have him play with Pickens, have him play with, I think Wilson will be back, Roman Wilson. Have him play with Wilson, have him play with these guys that, maybe aren't possibly going to start. Just have him play with just different players, and then have Justin Fields maybe play with those same players. Just do like a nice rotation. I know you don't want to risk injury and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, don't play hard. Just have like Roman Wilson look like he's Chase Claypool and give it a 50% or something,
So how long do you think Russell Wilson's leash will be? How many bad or average games do you think he'll be allowed by Pittsburgh fans before they start calling for Justin Fields to start? Because we've seen this rotation a lot with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They call for Kenny, and then Kenny does bad. And then they call for Mason or Mitch, And then Mason or Mitch doesn't do bad. Great. And then they call for Kenny again. And you know what I'm saying.
Well, the thing with Kenny that I think a lot of people tend to forget with it is that we were in shambles. The Steelers were in shambles when Mitchell Trubisky started that year. We had barely beaten you guys when we probably should have won by a lot more. And that's not like saying anything disrespectful, that week 1 game with Mitch, but we had torched you guys on defense, but we beat you guys 23-20 in overtime, a last second field goal. And it was because Mitch couldn't get the offense moving. And it's one of those things where it's like, was it Mitch? Was it Matt Canada? Was it both? It was probably both, because at the end of the day, Kenny Pickett still managed to do okay in the Matt Canada offense in the 2022 season. He did get hurt a couple of times, which prompted Mitch to go back in, and you had the Ravens game, you had all those issues and stuff like that. But Kenny didn't do bad, and he showed shades of like signs of light in the 2022 season that he was going to be QB1. And it all kind of fell apart last year in the season, where he was putting up 80-yard games and all of these things. And people were like, okay, maybe Kenny Pickett isn't as good, because people forget that he had 2 fourth quarter comeback games where obviously the offense wasn't doing a whole lot, but he still won those games against the Raiders. It was that Christmas Eve game. And he has a football in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for being like the first quarterback in NFL history to have back-to-back comeback touchdowns or something in the fourth quarter or something ridiculous, but he has a football there. So, I mean, like, obviously he was slated for greatness. So the Steelers were excited, like Steelers fans were excited to see him. Granted, we went 9-8 and we lost out because Joe Flacco folded to the Dolphins. If Joe Flacco would have beaten the Dolphins, Steelers would have went on to the playoffs that year with Pickett, and who knows what could have happened. We probably still would have lost, but it still would have been interesting. And then last year was when we really shot ourselves in the foot with the offense. And I think Kenny getting hurt against the Cardinals, I think everything was just slated to fail. And how he reacted to the Russell Wilson, even the Mason Rudolph situation, I think was really poor taste. And I don't really think it showed the characteristics of how Pittsburgh works when it comes to football, at least how the organization works, not necessarily the fans. Keep the fans out of it. But circling back to your question, with the new offensive coordinator being Arthur Smith, because obviously last year I feel like it was an outlier and Kenny's not on the team anymore. I'm going to use the same timeline as it was for Mitch, and I'm going to give it by the Cowboys game,
which is week
5 for 6. Okay. And the reason I say that is because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's week 5. And the reason I say that is because Steelers will play at the Falcons week 1, and then they play at the Broncos week 2. So if you go 0-2, you're going home against the Chargers, and the Steelers fans are going to expect to win. If for some crazy reason you go 0-3, then people are going to be like, all right. And then Steelers fans are going to call for him to get benched, regardless of how he's doing. If he's going 150, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, both 3 games, people are going to get mad. Then you go up against the Colts, and then people are going to want to see how that goes. And then come the Cowboys game is going to be on Sunday night. I believe it's Sunday. Let me look. It's October 6th. So I believe that is a Sunday night game, because I know we have a Monday night game. We have like a ridiculous amount of night games for some reason. October 6th is a Sunday night. So we have a Sunday night game, and it's home. It's against the Cowboys. I feel like at that point, what's going to end up happening is if Russell isn't doing well, I think because it's under the lights, Steelers like to do well in their primetime games with their color rush jerseys or their special jerseys or whatever for their primetime games. I think depending on how the fans react, I think he'll get pulled in that game if he's not performing well. And I think Fields will go in, if not in the second quarter, by halftime. So, but I think that would be my prediction. But I'm hoping, as a Steelers fan that's optimistic for Russell Wilson, that won't happen. And that if Justin Fields goes in at any point in the season, it's not because Russell Wilson's doing bad. It's because Russell Wilson got hurt.
Okay. Well, we do have an update on a situation that has been unfolding in Cincinnati.
Joe Burrow has been released.
No, that did not happen.
Okay.
That is fake news coming out of Chus's basement in Pittsburgh.
No, it was an assumption. I was just asking.
Oh. No, Joe Burrow has not been released. However, we may have some news on Jamar Chase.
He got traded.
No, what the?
Oh.
What are you? No.
I'm just stirring the pot.
Yes, you are. Schefter. Okay, so Jamar Chase has been holding in. He has been coming to practice, but he has not been practicing with the team. And Adam Schefter has been, he doesn't know anything. The Bengals and Jamar Chase have been very lock and key about this. They haven't been telling Schefter anything. He actually went on ESPN yesterday and said, "We don't know the situation, but I'm going to assume that Jamar Chase is not happy." And Jamar Chase hasn't said anything. Jamar Chase hasn't been tweeting. He's been doing the anti-Ayuk. He's just been staying quiet. He's been showing up to practice. He's been talking with guys, been hanging out with guys. He just wants a new contract, which is fair. You know what? Mm-hmm. And Bengals fans are like, hey, you know what? Justin Jefferson's already been extended. CeeDee Lamb's been extended, or is in the process of getting extended. Just pay the man. He's got 2 years left on his deal. Well, let's see here. I see a tweet here from a source I trust, and it says Richard Skinner, who is with the local 12 news station, tells Austin Elmore on ESPN 1530 radio that he's heard Jamar Chase and his camp are looking for a 4-year deal in the $160 million range with $120-ish million guaranteed from the Bengals. Now, to put that in perspective, Justin Jefferson got $110 million guaranteed in his extension. And if we do some quick math, if we add on his current 2-year deal and about $32 million, that would bring his current amount of money up to 6 years and $192 million at $32 million per year on average. These wide receiver contracts are getting crazy. And we know Jamar wants to get paid more than Justin Jefferson, his old college buddy. He said that. They both said that they wanted to be the top paid wide receiver. Jamar had the ability to wait, though. And with CeeDee Lamb in the wings, I'm saying just pay him. Just do it. Spread it out. I don't know how. I don't know. I'm not the math guy. I'm not in charge of the money. But we need Jamar Chase. And Chad Ochocinco, and I love Chad, but he came out and said they're going to get the deal done, but this week. He said this week. So I'm waiting. Chad.
Wow. It's Wednesday. So I mean, the week's kind of running late here.
He said this on like Monday, so I'm waiting. Chad. But he also said that Jamar Chase will not step on the field without a contract. Now, I don't know how true that is, but
I doubt it. You can't tell me that he's not going to step on the field.
If week 1, for some reason, we don't have Jamar Chase out there,
I think you guys still would be fine. I mean, you guys still have T. You still have T.
Yeah, we have T, and we got the guys, but it's like, again, that week 2 game. If he's not out there week 1, I'm going to be worried week 2 because I can't see Jamar skipping the Chiefs game. He likes to chirp at the Chiefs a lot, but still, I mean,
I don't know.
Contracts are insane.
I was going to say, I feel like he's a little different than some of the running backs and some of the players that have held out in the last couple of years. I feel like Chase won't do that. I mean, obviously, I think he'll be a little bit more frustrated, or he might pull more of like an Eric Ebron, where he'll kind of not play to his fullest extent until he does get paid, which is also a possibility because Eric Ebron not always, but kind of seemed like in his final years of his contracts, always kind of seemed to not necessarily play to his, or vice versa. Either way, like there was always points where like he always didn't seem to play to the same intensity until either his contract was up or like ready to be expired, or it was his final year where he was waiting to get signed again. And it might be just what Chase does. He might only give it like 50%, give T a lot more of the reps and wait until he gets paid. And then he'll be like, all right, now I'm going to go 150, which, doesn't want to risk injury, may want to.
A lot of fans are saying that's way too much money to pay Jamar Chase.
It is a lot of money, though. I mean, it is, but I mean, also you kind of have to. I have a question though for you. I mean, would you pay Jamar Chase and then maybe have some all right wide receivers, or would you be more willing to have T Higgins and another type of T Higgins wide receiver? Because you could have 2 T's or 1 Chase. And maybe not. I know you want both. But it's not going to happen.
No, it's not. And I'm looking at the Bengals' history of drafting wide receivers, though. As much as I would love both, it's easier to replace T. Higgins than it is to replace Jamar Chase.
Yeah, that's fair.
Especially because of him and Joe's history.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm saying I want him to get paid before CeeDee Lamb gets paid. Because I don't know what CeeDee Lamb's going to do. I'm worried that the Cowboys are going to get super desperate and overpay CeeDee Lamb.
I don't know what the Cowboys are an interesting watch though this season, because I'm pretty sure, isn't it Dak and CeeDee Lamb that are both contracts are up? Both of their contracts are up this year. Okay, so that's kind of, one of those things where you kind of have to watch out for. It's, do you keep Dak and CeeDee Lamb? Do you keep Dak? Do you keep CeeDee Lamb? Do you keep neither? Do you reset?
Micah Parsons' contract is coming up too.
Yeah, you got to think about all of this stuff in Dallas, and you guys haven't really gotten past the playoffs. Like, you always lose somewhere in the playoffs somewhere. I don't remember where they lost last year. It was like they lost to Green
Packers.
Yeah, I was gonna say they lost to Green Bay last year, but they haven't really gotten that far over the last couple of years. They've always fallen just a tad short. Now, last year they did not fall a tad short. It was kind of a blowout. Don't kid yourself. Don't, like, going back to that score, it was quite a blowout. But it does make you wonder, is it in Dallas? It's one of those things where it's like, is it Dak and CeeDee Lamb? Is it, Micah Parsons you want to keep? Are you willing to keep all three? Is somebody going to be willing to restructure their contract? And it gives a lot of opportunities for what could be for next year. I mean, maybe we see CeeDee Lamb in another jersey, which is kind of interesting. Could he pull a 180 and end up in like a team that really needs a wide receiver like New England, where it's like, not necessarily New England, maybe not, but they really need a wide receiver, and he could change the entire complexion of New England. Historic franchise, 6 Super Bowls, maybe puts them over the top. I don't really know what it looks like in New England, but it's one of those things. Or a situation with Dak Prescott. Let's say one of these quarterbacks, like, let's say in Minnesota, maybe they don't think that McCarthy is their guy, so they bring in Dak Prescott. And, maybe that changes it, because remember, we saw how well Kirk Cousins performed, and now all of a sudden you have a Dak to Justin Jefferson offense. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen. I'm not saying it will, and I don't mean to get anybody excited, but then it also opens those doors for Dallas to also maybe sign different players and different things like that. Maybe T. Higgins.
Yeah. I think if you can't afford T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, you're not going to be able to afford Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
I said, wait, no, I'm talking about Dallas.
Oh, Dallas. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
I meant Dallas. No. I meant Dallas. I was like, if CeeDee Lamb leaves, it opens the door for Dallas, so that maybe they could get somebody like T. Higgins and bring in somebody else,
I'm following along with what the media is sharing with. So I understand why people are freaking out about this contract. I really do. Like, it is a lot of money. But as Joe Goodberry is kind of talking about right now, who he's a Bengals analyst, very smart guy, who, if you want to know more about the Bengals and scouting, follow his YouTube channel. He's super great. But Jamar Chase is a top wide receiver. Is he better than Justin Jefferson? Statistically, no. But the fact is, you cannot replace the chemistry between Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase has been great for the franchise. He has never been super dramatic. $32 million a year. That cap hit isn't going to be for how long? And you can front load this so that maybe the huge cap hit is in 3 years, and then the rest of the contract is easy. But like Joe Burrow's huge cap hit doesn't come till 2029 of a $55 million cap hit. You can balance these things out. You can make it work. Like, don't get freaked out by the average amount. I think, and someone else here is pointing out that Jefferson's total was 5 years, 157 mil with new money. Chase would be 6 year, 190 mil with new money. But when you do the average cap, it's actually cheaper to pay. It's $2 million average per year to pay Jamar Chase that right now because of the extra year. So I'd say do it. I'm writing the check.
I mean, obviously also with Jamar Chase, he's one of those generational wide receivers. I don't think he's one of those wide receivers that you would want to let go of. And like I said, he's not one of those easily replaceable guys. He's a star level talent that also has played with Joe Burrow before. You kind of want to keep that connection, you know?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if this was, I understand, like, this comparison has issues, but like Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes, it's like, okay, Tyreek Hill walking, everyone was like, Patrick Mahomes is never going to win another Super Bowl again. But Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and also they didn't have that long-term chemistry. Now, Tyreek Hill is an animal, don't get me wrong, but I feel like
cheetah.
You just can't replace that chemistry. I think the Chiefs would have had a much bigger issue if Travis Kelce left Patrick Mahomes, because Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes have a deeper relationship.
I would agree with that.
I don't think Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes necessarily had at that point in time. So I'm trying to look at all the factors here, and I get it. It's a scary number. But again, these wide receiver contracts aren't going to get cheaper. We have a ton of wide receiver talent. Just look at this draft class.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in 3 years, you're going to be having Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. They're going to be wanting new contracts. And if it seems like the wide receiver market is following the quarterback market in that it's jumping exponentially, you're going to have guys who are getting overpaid. Like Daniel Jones got super overpaid, and it blew up the quarterback market, because then everyone was like, okay, he's like a top 20 quarterback, if that. So now we have to pay the top 5 quarterbacks a ton of money. Just get it done now. Get the average done. It's scary now, but in the long term, it will not be a bad contract. Just get her done.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Got to wait and see now. It's only Wednesday. Nothing other than the update on the contract. We don't really know much more. So we'll keep you updated.
Yes, we will. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead, unless Chus has anything else to say, go into my spiel.
I don't know. I don't think I have anything. So
okay. So I'll hit
floor is
this.
yours.
This floor is mine. Thank you for listening to today's show. If you enjoyed, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We can be found anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube at No Butts Show. If you want to comment and call me an idiot for something, that's fine too. Just don't call other people idiots in the comments. Our social media pages are NoButts_show on Instagram and No Butts Show on TikTok. My Twitter is Josh_Butts_2001. And if you would like to reach us, you can email us at bullmoosepodcast2. That's the number 2 at gmail.com. Finally, our spread shop will be in the description, so check out the merch. Once again, if you enjoyed today's show, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, go do something nice for someone.